Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. I'm Ricky and this is Evrygama. Gaming is in the air everywhere. Nice to see you again after such a long time. Today I'm going to show you how to use your Pixel 10, Pixel 10 Pro, Pixel 10 Pro XL, which I have here. They all have the same chip with Megabonk. I'm going to emulate with Gamenative. And I don't want to exclude that for the next part of the series, I'm also going to use GameHub possibly if a game doesn't run on Gamenative. But I will show you how to set up all the Gamenative settings. It can be time consuming, I know very much. And I'm also going to show you how I'll be going to play the game with a few different settings after the intro. By the way, I just wanted to let you know that I already uploaded the settings that I'm going to show here in this video to Gamenative. So I shared it with them, those settings with them on the Discord. So I don't know if they're going to share them with everyone as recommended settings. I hope so, but we will see, right? By standard, the standard settings, the recommended one don't work at all. So that's why I'm actually doing this video. Okay, I'm going to show you the foodback. Shit. The foodback. The video, the feed of the video that I captured on my Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. And I'm going to stop it and explain to you all the settings that I chose, right? You just go and select the game that you want to play. Then you go here onto those, into this gear. Okay. Okay, this is my library. Then I clicked on Megabonk and then you go on edit container. And here you get the overview of the whole settings, right? So I used the Bionic container. The wine version is the Proton 10 ARM64 EC2, so the newest one available. Here I chose the exe, so the exe file to Megabonk. I just clicked onto here, it was already selectable and I just populated this. There you see the Megabonk exe. Then I would always go with Pulse audio because this is the best for compatibility. As stream type, I would generally recommend light or ultra light. I was going with ultra light here. Okay, now I switch over to graphics and I'm going to start from the top here. Okay, as a wrapper, I would recommend to use the wrapper, the standard wrapper. As the graphics drivers, I would recommend system because those are the best functioning with Pixel device. As the DX wrapper, I would recommend to use DXVK, which is Vulkan. And as DXVK version, I tried out many and only the ones that you're going to see in a second, those two Sarek are working. I would recommend to use the newer one just because it's newer. It might be slightly more performant possibly. For the rest, I would leave everything here for the Vulkan extensions as it is. Here as maximum device memory, I would set it up to the maximum available. So 4096 MB in this case. I would turn off those Adreno Tools Turnip because those are good drivers for the Snapdragon chips, but because we have a Power VR chip here that is different on the Pixels, I would recommend to turn that off. And here as memory resource type, I would recommend AHB, and as presentation mode, mailbox. I think that's also standard. Here you could turn on the sharpness boost. If you're going to click on that, it just is going to extend and yeah, make the sharpness a bit better. I would recommend to turn off this DRI3 on Pixel devices, and all those recommendations, by the way, that I got from Gemini, the Google AI. So if I'm saying something wrong, please let me know below in the comments and blame Google. Don't blame me. Okay, this is just the sharpness that Google, so Gemini recommended to set up to a 60%. I think this is really individual, what you prefer. You can try it out as you please. Then as an emulator here, I would just recommend Box 64 and just turn it to the newest .04. Okay, here I set up the video memory size to 6 GB. You don't need that much for Megabonk, but this is just a preset that I found that was recommended, and I would also use for bigger games usually. Then the multi-threading I would turn off, or you could possibly also turn on. You can also experiment with that. It really depends on the game there, right? For some it works better without. Gemini would recommend it to be turned off, but I can imagine that if the games are properly supporting this command stream multi-threading, it might also be better. So just try it out for yourself. I turned it off, if I recall right. Yes, I did that. And here I would recommend you to take the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080 just for what it's being recognized, right? That's what Gemini recommended to me. I would also turn off, if I go back here, the strict shader mathematics. Those are recommended to be turned off. Then here, I set it up as Gemini told me, basically, having here direct 3D on native Windows, direct sound on native Windows, direct music on built-in Wine, and then direct show native Windows, direct play built-in, and Visual C++ native, and those other native and then built-in. Okay, now I switched over to this environment variables. And sorry that everything is in German. This is my language. Normally, I just thought that more people could benefit from this video if I would make it in English. And also because I work in English, it's not a big deal. Just excuse me if you don't see the things exactly in English. I think that if I'm just telling you how they're called, I think it should be fine. Hopefully it is. Let me know if it isn't. So if I translate those. The sync descriptor I would set up to cached. This Mesa mode here to mailbox, I think that's standard. Here you will see there's a DXVK frame rate, but for Megabonk this didn't change anything. So I tried it out with 120, I tried it out with 60, and it was always running the full speed. I couldn't cap it at 60 FPS, unluckily. Then here the shader model was recommended as 5_1 instead of the 6_0. That is the standard setting in here. And this one I added on recommendation of Gemini. So you would need to click on plus and just enter in the top line here the xvk underscore async and then 1, which is basically activating the asynchronous mode for the graphics. Yeah, here I just switched it to 120. It doesn't matter. As said, it doesn't change anything. Okay, and then here always take the things that you see here on the left line, on the top line, on the left side, on the top line, and this value here in the lower line once you create them. And I don't know sincerely if those are really necessary, but possibly they could enhance the speed, the performance of the game. So because I had a pretty good frame rate, I would recommend you to also put those in manually. Okay, I'm just going to stop it here. Mesa extension max override /gl underscore mesa tile restart order. I don't know if this was already available. Vulkan disable F16 true. Okay, that's all. And you see here with this plus, you can add those as described. Okay. Now I switched over to extended, and here as Gemini recommended, I would recommend to only use the ones here to the right and leave 2 out. Or possibly even you could take away CPU 2 because they're just 5, I think they're, well, how is it? 3 normal performance core and 2 high performance cores, I think. And in that order, right? They go from the just additional CPU cores that are just good for helping tasks, like for anything else. And then they go to the medium speed, and then they go to the maximum speed cores. And yeah, it is recommended to turn off those weaker ones because it can lead to a better compatibility. If you turn those on, it could happen that the game crashes more, right? But this is just what Gemini says. You could also try to turn those on, all on, maybe with the other multi-core thingy there option that I showed before, and possibly it could run better. So I just tried it that way, but it's already running quite nicely. And I think that was it here for the settings. Now let me start the other capture that I had in here. Ah, yes. By the way, I had some issues, as you saw right now, because if you're already logged in on Steam on your PC, it will lock you out there. And because I thought, why am I logged out on the PC right now? I logged in again, then it couldn't start the game. So make sure that you're just logged in on your phone, on Steam on your phone. Otherwise, you cannot start the game. And it could, yeah, there could be some interference, right? If you're starting it, you might have to re-log in on your phone, and only then the game is starting. So that's what happened to me here. As you can see here, I switched over to Unity Mono Bleeding Edge for more performance, and the FX core I also put to extreme. That was what I meant before. Okay, and I even turned on this multi-thread. Possibly that's why I still had some slight glitches. I'm going to try to turn that off if it gets any better. Okay, and then here you see normally it should always switch from booting real quickly to launching the game or loading, downloading the things that it needs. Otherwise, for any game that it happens, it might be the case, right, that it's not it's not properly starting the game. So if it's staying on booting the whole time, in the most cases, Gemini said it can take 2 to up to 5 minutes for in the booting section there, but it doesn't. For me, it never started if it was hanging in there. at the beginning I had some settings turned up and it wasn't running that great. Somehow it had some interferences. I was going to use calcium here. Okay. As you see, it wasn't running that great. It had some kind of lagging. And by the way, at the beginning it always lags a bit more. That's normal. Just needs a bit to load up the game and then it's working better. Then I went in there and yeah, I turned down all the stuff. So everything you see too low in game. Okay. And this was my error, right? I'm just stopping it real quickly. Never put it on exclusive full screen because then the game will crash. This is not good for your phone. It doesn't work. You should always keep it on a maximized window. That's the best setting here. And I had to restart because now it crashed. I had to, as you can see, I couldn't move the game anymore. It crashed, so I'm going to jump forward again. Okay. And here I just restarted it, and that's actually how it's running here. Like that. Okay. And you see here, this is without VSync. Those slight glitches that you see when you're turning the character quickly, if you look at him, that's normal. That's just the thing I saw the Gamenative devs and other people in the Discord talking about this. That's normal at the current situation. With some other settings, it can even be stronger, so don't wonder. That's just what you need to accept for the moment, because this is just the very beginning of the emulation on Pixel devices. And yes, as I realized, I still had some kind of tearing when the image splits up in the middle, something like that, right? That's why I tried to turn on VSync on always. That's what I did here. And as you'll see, it's already way better. It's not perfect, but it's yeah, nicely playable, I would say. And now I'm going to be quiet for a moment. That was it for my recommendations. If you're interested of seeing me playing as well, have a look at what I do and how I play this game. And it's fun. It's not perfect yet, but I would say it's great that after working like half a day of my free time on that and trying every settings, or maybe almost, I don't know, many hours, I'm happy that I found a setting how it works. And this can happen to you with many games at the current state, right? If you would like to have a good emulation device, I would recommend to use a phone with a Snapdragon, one of the newer one possibly, or just buy an AYN Odin 3 or Thor, or any of those handhelds that even have a better cooling and are made for gaming, right? So that's what I would recommend. But I will continue to do some other videos around how I try it. So basically giving you recommendations on how to run games here on the Pixel. By the way, I tried out a few other games with the recommended settings. Most of them don't work. I had only Record of Lodoss War that was working with the standard settings. That was working great. And another Momodora, another platformer that was working great as well with the recommended settings. But for this one, I really wanted to play it on my phone, and yeah, I'm really happy that I could use it. And by the way, this is GameSir Galileo G8 Plus, I think it's called. it's a quite nice controller that you can use, and it's being plugged in here if I extend it via USB, and so you don't have any type of lagging through Bluetooth, and I can recommend it to you. But there are many good controllers out there. So, and by the way, if you don't have a controller, there's also on-screen controls that you can use. It won't be as nice for sure because you don't have that physical buttons, but it's still playable, right? If you just want to try it out, or just on the go have something to play around, you can do it as well with the touch things. I need to say, no, I don't want to spoil too much. You'll see what happens in my 2 runs that I'm going to do here with the game. I love this character, by the way. I just unlocked him, and it's fun to scare around with this guy. Okay, here I was trying to lock the FPS to 60, but it doesn't work. As you will see there on the top left, the FPS, it doesn't work. And what I'm quite surprised of is that Gamenative with this game is already taking up 14 gigabytes of RAM of the 16 that the Pro XL has, so that's weird, but okay. And that's especially weird because then it should be 14 RAM memory, 13 gigabyte, and only 2 for the video memory, supposedly, I guess. If it only has 16 and at all. Okay, anyway. I was so stupid at that moment. I could have gone somewhere else and I would have killed him from afar. But I just went to the boss and into his area, and then he killed me. That was so stupid. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, here I was just recording, and you see how it looks like when I'm recording. And by the way, right, that's a good point. I was also capturing and recording this game at the same time. So possibly it could even run faster if you don't do that. But I think because I left out those 2 cores, I assume that those 2 cores would be working on that, right? Those 2 low performance cores to record, I guess. But let me know in the comments if you had a way better speed there whilst gaming. I also already tried it out without recording, and the speed was similar, I would say. Yeah. Here I hope to have this locked to 60 FPS to have a more stable image, because it's always not good if it's going up and down, right? As you can see here, it can create a not very fluid image if you're having these frame times in that way. Yeah. But anyway. I love this music. Dum, dum. And at least with this game, you see it's also not getting really hot. I'm at 39 degrees the most times, and the power draw is also okay. Yeah, it's not a heavy to play game, right? But not as not heavy as 2D games possibly, right? So it's like an entry 3D game. But if you're starting to have hundreds of enemies at once in 3D here, I mean, it can become a bit heavier, I think. If you progress till there, yeah. You'll see if I can get there in this run. here I found a banana. That's awesome. It was a kind of a power-up, apparently, that I unlocked that I could get for the next runs. And this one, look at this. It was a hidden bush there, a killer bush. And it started haunting me. Hunting me, sorry. Haunting, yeah, you can say as well, right? It was like scaring me, I guess. Similar, right? The haunting. And look at this, it has this super laser and it can reach super far. As far as it can see you, it kills you. Look at that. Bam. I thought I could get rid of him, but then, look, it went around the corner, followed me everywhere. Annoying bush of hell. Look at this. I mean, how was I supposed to get rid of this guy? Okay. Yeah, that was it for my video. Thank you very much for looking in and watching this video. Let me know what your experiences with Gamenative are, and maybe I hope I could help you with those settings to play Megabonk. And I'm looking forward to your comments to hear what your experience is with emulating any games here on the Pixels, the Pixel 10s or Pixel 9s possibly, but they had another chip again, so please, you could try out those settings, but I cannot guarantee that they're going to work with those as well. Okay, see you for the next one. Bye.